Victor's perspective. I sit on the floor of my room, idly running my hands through Fluffy's midnight blue charcoal black striped fur. Her enormous amber eyes open and swivel towards me. She places her two-fingered mitten paw on my right leg and begins extending two velociraptor claws. No, I warn with wiry sternness. The claws retract for about 3 seconds, then start extending again, slower, like she thinks I won't see it if she moves slow enough. No, Fluffy, I say, rolling my eyes. The claws stop for a moment, then extend fully to prick me in the thigh. Ah! I laugh, catching her wrist to lift the murder paw off my leg before she breaks the skin. She yowls in an amused judder, baring her many sharp teeth at me. Glad you think it's so funny, you sadistic little gremlin, I smirk. At that moment, my door opens. From behind me, I feel 2 arms slide underneath mine, and another 2 over my shoulders. You ready to go, Victor? Asks my fiancée, kissing my right cheek and tickling my neck with her left ear. Sure, baby, I answer dolefully. You're still thinking about that birth ceremony we saw the other day? She deduces. Yeah, I am, I admit. It affected you a lot, didn't it? She observes. It did. I hate the idea that in their whole history, not a single one of them ever knew their mum. Except by, reputation, I mope. Yeah, it's not great, she answers, obviously thinking of her birth parents. And, how many more half-orphans are going to be made between now and when we decide to bring up the fact that, hey, it don't have to be like this if you don't want it to? How many more are going to be made after that, because obviously there's going to be some portion of them who think that this newfangled medical tech is some kind of foreign devilry. That's their decision to make, she responds with a tone that tells me she doesn't like it any more than I do. It is, and I know if we go at this half-cocked, we're liable to do more harm than good. Don't mean I like it, though. Well, hopefully Twig duty will take your mind off things, she says, a smile in her voice. I puff. Yeah, thanks for switching with me. Oh, and if these northerners invite you to any birthing ceremonies while you're there, I'll politely but firmly refuse, Victor, she laughs. Nroluq's perspective. We breathe deeply of the warm summer air. There has been fair weather this year, but I know the snows will come south all too soon. Food stores must be acquired, firewood must be stockpiled, and we must locate a site to encamp for the winter, far enough away from any Ravager towns. Last year, I was too young to be trusted with solo scouting for the tribe. Hopefully, this year, we can prove worth by finding something of value. This particular bit of taiga isn't looking at all promising, though. Little in the way of food, little in the way of fuel, and I haven't seen anywhere that looks remotely viable as a hibernation spot. I'm just about to move on when I catch sight of something. Turning to it, I see a creature unlike anything I've ever seen before. I dart into a hiding spot to observe. At the hip hangs a sheathed knife almost as long as the 2 legs it walks on. Hung on the far side of it is an object I don't recognize. The legs, arms, and torso are covered in what looks like tight, deep blue skin with patches of shiny metal in it. The metal feet are long and flat, and it seems to only have 1 joint in each leg. It has no tail that I can see. The skin of the hands and face is a pale beige color, and the medium-length hair on the scalp is curly and red. The hands are clawless, and the face is folk-like, but wrong. As it draws closer, I'm better able to appreciate just how bulky it is, and how tall. Easily more than twice the height I am. Is taller than a male Ravager and closer to the height of a female. The upper arms are thicker than I am. It moves with eerie silence, given that it's got to weigh more than 10 times what I do. At a distance of around 30 meters, it turns directly to where I hide. I freeze and desperately try not to breathe, as a pair of hungry, bright green, forward-facing eyes search around the bushes I'm watching from. "Hello? Is someone there?" asks the creature, in a voice that's almost as deep as Ravager speak, but almost as mellifluous as folk speak. I recognize the voice as having some indefinable quality of maleness to it. Or you can infer that he's asking me to show myself, even without understanding a single word he said. Not a chance I'm coming out for this giant. If he comes over, I'll need to decide whether to stay put or make a break for it. Mercifully, after around 20 seconds of no response, the shoulders shrug and he turns to move on. He's out of sight by the time I let myself sigh with relief. I have to get back to the tribe. I have to tell them what I just saw. That man wasn't a hunter, he was a warrior. A warrior searching for something. We've got to prepare, and that means that right now, making it back to the others alive, to warn them, is of paramount importance. As silently as I can, I pick myself out of the bushes and begin sprinting back to where the tribe are encamped, eyes and ears swiveling all around to check for pursuers. So focused am I on checking behind and around me that I neglect to check ahead of me, a mistake I only become aware of when I skid around a bend and find myself facing a terror dragon bird. I freeze in place, but it's already too late. The beast swivels a thick beak towards me, on the end of a long neck. It flares the membrane of two flightless wings and shrieks. Terrified, I point the spear I hold at it. It stalks towards me, chewed talons thudding as they impact the ground. I shot at it to try and scare it away, to no effect. Paralyzed with fear, I'm unable to summon the will to do anything as death draws up to just outside the range of the spear. It lunges. I wince. Death does not come. I open eyes to see a thick blue muscular pillar ending in pale beige fingers clamped around the neck of the predator, just below the horns. The animal, easily more than twice as heavy as I am, is lifted from the ground by the same red-haired giant I saw earlier. The clawed legs swing forward to attempt to gut him, but skip harmlessly off of the tough blue skin the giant has. With a contemptuous flick of the arm, the man tosses the dragon bird, several times the height it is, away from us. It scrambles upright and wheels on him, squawking and hissing. The giant raises two powerful arms overhead, bares a set of square, fangless teeth, and lets out a bellowing roar. The animal cowers away, then turns to flee. "Yeah, that's right. Get over here, you overgrown turkey. Come back when you're half as threatening as a Canada goose," snarls the man contemptuously. Then, remembering that I exist, the green-eyed, round-pupiled giant turns to look down at me. The expression he wears is far softer than it was when he spoke to the dragon bird, but all the same, I'm petrified. "Hey there, kid," he smiles. I point the spear at him, not thinking I'm anything like a match for this giant, even armed, but unsure what else to do. "Whoa, whoa," he laughs, holding up two empty, clawless hands. "Easy there, kid. I'm a friend." Hands still held up, he backs away a few steps, and follows those two long, strangely jointed legs to sit on the ground, facing me, in a clearly non-threatening posture. I back away and avert the spear point, but do not match the seated position he has, studying him leerily. The giant is pretty much the same height as me, now that he's seated. He splays 5 of those clawless fingers and touches them to the front side of himself. "Victor," he smiles. "What?" I frown. Tapping the chest with both hands now, he repeats, "Victor. My name's Victor. Your name?" The Victor points at me. "I'm a folk." He laughs and, wobbling that red-haired head from side to side, says, "Know your species, kid. Your name." I frown to convey lack of understanding. The Victor thinks before pointing at himself and using a unfamiliar word says, "Human." Then he points to me and says, "Folk. in folk speak. Then he points back to himself and says, Victor. Then back to me, expectantly. Okay, so he's a human, not a Victor. Understanding, I point at myself and say, Nroluq. Nroluq? He asks, butchering the pronunciation. No, Nroluq, we correct. Nroluq? He tries again, slightly better. Sure, close enough, I frown. It's nice to meet you, Nroluq, he smiles. I'm just gonna reach for my hollow now. Nice and slow. He reaches for a pouch in what I now realize is the deep blue clothing he wears. He pulls out a flat square. Thumb moving against it, it lights up. He holds the glowing thing up to an ear and speaks, not looking at me. Hey, Samus, Timanja. I found a local twig called Nroluq. Sent you my location. Come quick, and bring 4 other folk with you.